Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a story that's got everyone in the auto world talking.
Yeah.
The shocking resignation of Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares.
Wow. Yeah.
You've probably heard of Stellantis.
Oh, for sure.
They're the company behind some of the biggest names out there. Jeep, Dodge, Ram,
Right.
Fiat, Chrysler, Peugeot.
Huge brands.
Yeah, they're massive, like the fourth largest car maker in the world.
Globally.
So when their CEO steps down
Had
suddenly,
the clue.
it kind of shakes the whole industry.
Definitely. Especially with Tavares saying just recently that he was planning to retire in 2026.
Exactly.
Huh.
Seemed like he had a plan, a vision for the company's future,
Okay.
but obviously something happened.
Something changed. Yeah.
And the official statement from Stellantis,
What did they say?
it's vague, like really vague.
Oh, really?
They just mentioned different views between Tavares and the board.
Different views.
Yeah, doesn't really tell us much.
Leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
For sure. So to really understand what went down,
Get to the bottom of it.
we need to take a deep dive into Tavares' time at Stellantis.
Oh, back to the beginning.
Starting with his rise to the top.
So before Stellantis even existed,
Right. Even before.
Tavares had an impressive career.
Oh, yeah. He was considered a real rising star
Like a prodigy.
in the industry, and he learned from the best.
A Nissan, right?
Yeah, at Nissan under Carlos Ghosn.
Another legend in the car world.
And then when Tavares took over PSA Group,
They were struggling, weren't they?
big time, almost bankrupt,
Wow.
and he pulled them back.
Turned things around.
Yeah, he got a reputation for making tough decisions.
Getting results.
Exactly. And then with Stellantis, initially it seemed like more of the same.
Success right out of the gate.
He brought Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group together.
The big merger, 2021.
Huge merger. And for a while, things were going great.
Profits were up.
Yeah. Tavares was like this visionary leader.
On top of the world,
And then
things took a turn.
things got rocky, especially in the U.S. market.
It's a key market for them.
Huge market. And their sales,
They took a hit.
a big hit, down 20% globally year over year,
Ouch.
and even worse in the U.S.
You know what happened?
What's a few things?
Perfect storm kind of thing.
Dealers were saying they had way too many cars just sitting around,
Unsold cars, that's a bad sign.
loaded inventories,
And not enough new models to attract buyers.
and prices were sky high.
So a lot of factors working against them.
Yeah, and when that happens, when you've got all these unsold cars,
It creates a ripple effect.
dealers have to offer big discounts,
To try and move them?
which cuts into their profits.
Of course.
And then Stellantis has to cut back on production.
It all adds up.
And you see it in their financial reports.
The numbers don't lie.
They had to lower their targets for the year
Admitting they weren't going to hit their goals?
and their revenue for the third quarter.
How bad was it?
Down by 27%.
That's a big drop.
Not good.
So where did it all go wrong?
Well, a lot of people are pointing to the cost cutting.
Tavares was known for that.
Oh, yeah, he cut billions.
How much are we talking?
8.4 billion euros, something like $9 billion in savings from the merger.
That's a lot of money.
Sounds impressive, but some say he went too far
Cut too deep.
and too fast.
So it backfired.
Well, cost cutting can be good in the short term,
Sure, makes sense.
but if you don't invest in the future,
New technologies, that kind of thing.
or if you alienate your employees and
There's
dealers,
people on the ground.
it can come back to bite you.
And that seems to be what happened here.
So those cost-cutting measures, they weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet.
They had real-world consequences.
They affected people's lives.
How so?
Tavares cut a lot of jobs in the U.S.
Moved them overseas
to lower-cost countries like Brazil and Mexico,
to save money.
and that led to layoffs here
People losing their jobs.
and created a lot of resentment.
Understandable.
It wasn't just the workers, though.
Dealers, too.
Dealers were stuck with all these unsold cars.
And they felt like Stellantis wasn't helping them.
Not enough financial support.
So they were frustrated, too.
Yeah, and then you've got the whole electric vehicle thing.
The EV revolution.
The auto industry is changing so fast.
And everyone's trying to keep up.
And Tavares seemed to be focused on squeezing every last dollar out of gas-powered cars,
The old way of doing things.
while other companies were pouring billions into EVs.
Like Tesla.
So maybe the board felt like he wasn't the right guy to lead them through this transition.
To the electric future.
So you've got declining sales, too many cars, aggressive cost-cutting, unhappy workers and dealers.
And the EV revolution looming.
And then, bam, Tavares is out.
The timing is weird, too.
I know, right? Just a few weeks ago, he was talking about retiring in 2026.
And then suddenly, different views.
It's very dramatic.
Leaves us with a lot of questions.
What were those different views? Was he forced out? Did he walk away?
And the big one.
What happens to Stellantis now?
Yeah, what does the future hold?
We'll be exploring those questions and more in the next part of our deep dive, so stay tuned.
So now the big question is, who's going to take over?
Yeah, who's going to steer the ship?
Everyone's speculating.
The rumor mill is going crazy.
Some people think they'll go outside the company.
Bring in a fresh face.
Someone who's got experience with industries going through big changes.
Someone who can handle the tech side of things.
Yeah, the auto industry is all about tech now.
Maybe someone from Silicon Valley.
Or even from a rival car company.
Someone who can hit the ground running.
Fix those problems in the U.S.
And with a vision for the future.
Someone who's not afraid to shake things up.
But they could also promote from within.
Someone who already knows the company.
Knows the culture.
The ins and outs.
That would give everyone a sense of stability.
Especially after all the drama.
Reassure the investors.
And the employees.
There's some strong internal candidates.
Like who?
The heads of the North American and European divisions.
They've got the experience.
They know the company's strengths and weaknesses.
And they've got the relationships.
With the key players.
So it's a tough choice.
Outsider versus insider.
New ideas versus stability.
What do you think?
It's a balancing act.
They need someone who can control costs, but also innovate.
Keep the workers and dealers happy.
And understand the changing market.
It's like navigating a hurricane.
Speaking of hurricanes,
the whole auto industry is facing some rough seas.
This isn't just a Stellantis story.
Every car company is dealing with these massive changes.
Electric vehicles are changing everything.
It's not just about making electric cars.
It's about building the charging station.
Getting the batteries.
Convincing people to switch.
It's a huge undertaking.
And it takes a lot of money.
And a long-term vision.
Which is tough when the economy is uncertain.
And people aren't sure what they want.
Plus, you've got all the supply chain problems.
The chip shortage?
Now it's not just chips.
It's everything.
Materials, logistics.
A dollar mess.
Costs are going up.
Production is getting delayed.
It's hard to keep up with demand.
It's a volatile time.
So finding the right CEO for Stellantis is even more important now.
They need someone who can handle all of this.
Not just survive,
but thrive.
So let's say you're on the board.
Trying to find this superhero CEO.
What are you looking for? First of all, someone who gets the tech.
The electric vehicles, the software.
They can't just be good with numbers.
They need to be a visionary.
See the future. And get Stellantis there.
Someone who's comfortable taking risks.
But they also need to be a good communicator.
Build relationships.
With the employees, the dealers, the investors.
Yeah.
You can't just make money and ignore the people.
You need to inspire people.
Motivate them.
Get them on board with your vision.
So someone who's collaborative.
Empathetic.
Understands what people want.
And they need to be able to adapt.
The auto industry is changing so fast.
Stellantis can't afford to be slow.
So they need to be a lot of things.
A tech expert, a visionary, a communicator, a relationship builder, a change agent.
That's a tall order.
The stakes are high.
Billions of dollars. Millions of jobs.
The future of transportation.
This is why we do this show.
To go beyond the headlines.
Unpack the complexities.
It's not just business.
It's about people, technology, the world we live in. There are a few key takeaways here.
For our listeners.
First, balance is crucial.
Even if you're great at one thing.
Like saving money.
You can't neglect everything else.
Building relationships, coming up with new ideas.
It's like a recipe.
You need all the right ingredients.
In the right amounts.
Second, anyone can make mistakes.
Even the best leaders.
The world is changing fast. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow.
So stay humble.
Be willing to learn.
And surround yourself with people who challenge you.
And finally, don't just focus on your own little world.
Understand the big picture.
The trends in your industry.
The challenges your company is facing.
The needs of your customers.
Because we're all connected.
What happens in the auto industry affects everyone.
So when we understand these things, we can make better decisions.
And navigate the future.
In the next part of our deep dive,
we'll explore what might happen to Stellantis.
And what it means for you.
As a consumer.
And we'll leave you with some food for thought.
Okay, so we've talked about why Tavares is out.
And the challenges Stellantis is facing.
Now the big question.
What happens next?
What does the future hold for Stellantis?
It's tough to predict the future.
Especially in the car world.
Things are changing so fast.
But we can look at the possibilities.
Based on what we know.
And what we're seeing in the industry.
So let's start with what I'll call the safe route.
Okay, the safe route.
Stellantis appoints someone from inside the company.
Someone they already know.
Who knows the business?
Keeps things running smoothly.
Doubles down on cost cutting.
Streamlines everything.
Focuses on making money with the cars they already have.
The tried and true.
It would create stability.
Which might be good after all the drama.
Investors and employees would probably like that.
But it could also mean falling behind.
In the innovation race.
Especially with EVs.
And self-driving cars.
If they don't invest in the future.
They might get left behind.
And if they keep upsetting the workers and dealers.
It could hurt their reputation.
Okay, so that's the safe route.
What about the opposite?
The risky route.
Let's shake things up.
Bring in someone from outside.
A real outsider.
Someone from Silicon Valley, maybe?
Or from a completely different industry.
Someone with a fresh perspective.
Someone who's not afraid to disrupt things.
Push Stellantis in a whole new direction.
Now that would be interesting.
Imagine someone from Tesla.
Bringing all their EV knowledge to Stellantis?
It could be revolutionary. But it's risky, too.
Big time.
It could cause a lot of friction.
The old guard might not like it.
It takes time to integrate someone new.
Especially someone with a different background.
Okay, so we've got the safe route and the risky route.
Is there a middle ground?
There's always a middle ground.
The Goldilocks zone?
Not too safe, not too risky.
Someone who understands both the old and the new.
The traditional car industry and the tech side.
Someone who can balance the need to save money with the need to innovate.
Keep everyone happy.
But still make tough decisions.
They need to be a diplomat.
A strategist.
Able to see the big picture.
So which scenario do you think is most likely?
Tough question.
I'd say the balanced approach.
The middle ground?
Stellantis is in a good position.
Strong brands.
Global reach.
History of success. But they've got those big challenges.
The board knows they need stability.
But also transformation.
They need a leader who can do both.
Sounds like they need a superhero.
Well, they need someone special, that's for sure.
What are the key takeaways here for our listeners?
Well, first, balance is important in everything.
Business, life.
You can't just focus on one thing.
You need to be well-rounded.
Second, be adaptable.
The world is constantly changing.
You need to be able to change with it.
And finally, have a vision.
Know where you want to go.
And be able to inspire others to follow you. So is this resignation a sign of things to come?
Is the whole auto industry changing?
Are we moving away from just cutting costs?
To a more balanced approach.
That's a question for our listeners to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
I hope you learned something.
And we'll see you next time.